Call the special board meeting of August the 23rd to order. And the next item on the agenda, we have tonight Pastor Chris Joyner of First Presbyterian Church of Franklin to give her invocation. So if we'll stand, and then following this, I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. O Lord, our Creator, by your prophet Jeremiah, you taught your ancient people to seek the welfare of the cities in which they lived. We commend our city to your care, that it might be kept free from strife. Give us strength of purpose and concern for others, that we may create here a community of justice and peace, where your will may be done. Forgive, we pray, our shortcomings. Purify our hearts to see and love truth. Give wisdom to our counselors and steadfastness to our people. Bless those who hold office in the government of our city, our mayor and aldermen, and all who aid them in their work. Help them to do their work in a spirit of wisdom, kindness, and justice. Guide them to use their authority to serve faithfully and to promote the general welfare, the common good, especially for the most vulnerable among us. And bring us at last to the fair city of peace, whose foundations are mercy, justice, and goodwill, and whose builder and maker you are, Almighty God, creator of all. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4, grievances or statements from citizens for items that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to address this board tonight? I see none. Number 5, communication from Williamson County Mayor and Williamson County Commission. I see no one here. We'll move on to item number 6, approval of minutes, August the 9th, 2011 work session, and August the 9th, 2011 Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Is there a motion?
You'll need to defer this.
Oh, need to defer.
Yeah.
That's what you were telling me, Linda. Thank you. That's what this note says.
We haven't seen it.
There are no recognitions. Are there any miscellaneous reports? Alderman?
I would like to announce that for the September Franklin Civil War Roundtable, we have the subject of the Battle of Perryville. Christopher Kaloskowski, a native of Fredericksburg, Virginia, will be speaking on the Battle of Perryville at the September 11th edition of the Franklin Civil War Roundtable. The 1862 Battle of Perryville was the largest battle in the state of Kentucky, fought between the Union General Carlos Buell Army of the Ohio and the Confederate Army of the Mississippi under General Braxton Bragg. Perryville proved to be a violent precursor to bloody battles that would become the Union Army of the Cumberland and the Confederate Army of the Tennessee. Names like Clyburn, Cheatham, Polk, Buckner, and Sheridan fought in what was a tactical Confederate victory, only to be followed by the Southerners' retreat back towards Nashville. Again, the meeting is Sunday, September the 11th at 3 o'clock at the community room of the new Franklin Police Building. And it's free.
Thank you, sir. Number 9, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature by the governing body. They will be approved as recommended by committee or staff by one motion of the governing body. Tonight, we're considering items 23 to 33. Is there a motion? Yes, ma'am.
I move that I want to remove 26.
Is your motion to approve the consent agenda minus number 26?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposition. Passes unanimously. Number 10, consideration of ordinance 2009-55 is amended, an ordinance to amend the City of Franklin Municipal Code, Title 11, Chapter 4, Offenses Against the Peace and Quiet. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes. You know, we've talked about this a lot, but it really comes down to where have we really had the complaints from our citizens? Most of those have involved an outdoor venue where the music is open air. I think we should be more strict in what those operations are and perhaps make the times a little earlier for those types of operation to make it more a better situation for our citizens, for those people that want to go to bed and not be disturbed. And this is not just a downtown problem. I've had complaints in the last week about some of the venues out in Third Ward. So I'd like to hear some discussion about if we created a category that would be on page 2. It would be identical to number 4, but would be item 5, and would read very similarly, application of sound that originates from out of doors or open air sound that's located, and have the same wording except for the hours would be from 9 p.m. and 7 on Sunday through Thursday, and 10 and 7 Friday through Saturday.
Alderman McClendon.
Well,
Well, is there a second?
I second that.
As I said before, Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
as I said before, you cannot both promote economic growth and tourism and spend millions of dollars to bring people downtown and then turn around and tell them all to be quiet and go home because we have a handful of complaints. I disagree with the premise of this motion. The majority of the complaints have not come from the outdoor venues. They have come from people who live nearby venues, period. I don't begrudge those people, but we have to strike a balance here between businesses and residents. And adding another layer of distinction and difference, in this case, is a distinction without a difference. I mean, it doesn't matter. We have already, in this ordinance, created times within which you cannot disturb your neighbors, whether that noise is coming from amplified, not amplified, indoors, outdoors, music, gatherings, it doesn't matter. And I'm comfortable and satisfied that the hours and definitions that we have in the ordinance as it existed when we got here tonight is adequate protection for people who choose to live in areas proximate to businesses. And I'm satisfied that this is a reasonable compromise. We don't, you cannot go on promoting tourism and economic development in downtown while singling out some businesses as undesirable.
Alderman Martin.
I will say that being in the Fourth Ward, that's where I'm getting most of my complaints. The people that live there have lived there for many, many years, long before these outdoor venues came into being. There was never a problem as long as the music was inside. It was when they moved outside with their loud noise. And that's, you know, they don't have an opportunity necessarily to move to sell their homes. They are old-time residences, and they deserve their peace and quiet.
Mr. Mayor, I will be supporting the ordinance as originally stated. because the staff has spent time with both businesses in the downtown area, with citizens in the downtown area, and I think what has come out of that is this compromised version from both businesses and citizens who came before our work session and talked about their specific concerns. So I will be supporting the original ordinance.
Alderman Barn, Vice Mayor Barnhill.
You know, we have discussed this numerous times, and again, whether it's 9 p.m. or whether it's 10 p.m., you know, the issue, Mike, is the fact that we are significantly changing this on final reading. No public input, no chance for any business owner to come before us and discuss 9 a.m. versus 10 a.m. or, I mean, 9 p.m. versus 10 p.m. or 10 p.m. versus 11 p.m. And I consider that to be a pretty significant change. And you know, to change it at the last, I guess, the last moment or the last opportunity, and no one have a chance to speak for or against it. If the board is truly interested in changing the times, then I think we need to have an opportunity for the business people and the business community that we're affecting, and the residents too, to have a chance to say something, to have their input on this item. That is a significant change that we're going through, and we're changing the hours from, in my opinion, it's a significant change if we're going from 10 p.m. to 9 p.m. and from 11 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the weekends then.
So clarification, because we either voting on a revision or we voting on the current
We're
law.
voting on the amendment first,
Oh,
and then we'll vote on the original motion. Alderman Skinner.
Two things. One, just for, to make sure that there's not confusion, because there's a section about, in number 2, on page 2, where it speaks to commercial and industrial. We also need to clarify for this amendment that it would say commercial, industrial, and zoning districts, no person shall cause, suffer, allow, or permit amplified sound which originates indoors.
Is this another amendment?
Insertion. I want to make that the same, in the same amendment. Or, no, it's already been seconded, hasn't it? So,
Well, I'll change it.
okay, I've got a second on that. And again, remember, this is just for open air. We still have the number 4 that applies to other situations.
Any other discussion?
I just
Alderman Peterson.
have a comment. This has been presented as something to try, and although I have reservations about all of it, I suppose I'm willing to try what we have agreed to at this point. And it's not just outside. The ones that are amplified that are inside are still a real problem.
Alderman Berger.
I'm unwilling to change this at this point at all. I think we've beat it as hard as we could beat it for now. We are going to take a look at it in a year, as Ann said, and I think that administration did meet with the businesses. They did meet with the residents. They got input from both of them. We're going from audible versus the metered that we had before. And I'm willing to go with this change and give it a good year to take a look at it and bring it back and tweak it if we need to tweak it at the time. But I will not be supporting the amendment, but I will be supporting the noise ordinance.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the amendment, like sign.
Aye.
Fails, what's that, 5-2? 5-2. Okay, now we'll vote on the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes with one opposition.
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Berger and Alderman Peterson both mentioned revisiting this. if the board would like by motion or just give us direction to bring this back in 12 months, we'd be glad to do that, but we had made that as part of the discussion.
Write that down and lose that note.
We'll do that. I just want to make that clear.
6 months from now, so.
Very good. Number 11, this is a public hearing, consideration ordinance 2011-28, an ordinance to amend Chapter 3, Section 3.2.2 and Section 3.2.3, Table 3.2, permitted uses in the Franklin zoning ordinance to permit detached dwelling units in the neighborhood mixed-use zoning district. Would anybody like to speak on this subject? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 12, this is a public hearing. Consideration of ordinance 2011-29, an ordinance to amend Title 22, Chapter 18, to establish new water rates and sanitary sewer user rates. Would anybody want to address this subject? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name and...
I'm Jay Wade. I live on Jefferson Drive, and I've worked on city water and sewer issues for a long time. I was in this chamber about a year ago when they first raised the rates, and they had a public hearing. Nobody got up and spoke. I was surprised to find out the city's raising rates again. So I decided I would look into it, try to figure out what was going on. And what I found was kind of disconcerting. And I'm just going to start off with a couple of definitions from the city's memorandum of October 24th, 2010. System development fee. A fee is made for the purpose of enabling the city of Franklin to repair and replace its facilities. It's repair and replace. Access fee. Improvements being required periodically because of growth. In that same memorandum, well, let me back up a second. The city hired Jackson Thornton to do an analysis of the rate structure, and they came up with a recovery plan to recover from the financial hole that they are in. And in this memo of the 24th, 2010, October, they state 75% of the improvements were designated as due to increased system capacity and were to be funded by access fees. And then we go on over later in the report, or this memorandum. Those fees have not been collected in sufficient quantity to fund the allocated amount of debt service. Thus, there is a negative balance in the sewer access fees. When the projects reach completion, it is anticipated that those deficit balances will be cured either from allocation of system development fees or additional borrowing. So you're going to rob from the system development fees to pay for growth. Now, let me make sure I get next. When the city raised the rates in 2010, and I go to the Tuesday, October 26 minutes of the work session, and Mayor Schroer at that time stated the 5-year recovery program allows average water increases of 4% per year and average wastewater increases of 7% per year, and that's a rate increase of 7% each and every year, compounding on themselves for 5 years, which is a net increase of 40%. And then later in those minutes, the debt service by funding is for all projects funded with debt and split 25% customer or ratepayer and 75% growth. Now, in those minutes when the rates were approved, Alderman Pedersen did comment that customers should not be paying for projects for growth. Now, over the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to work on some sewer issues, and one project I know a lot about was the Simmons Ridge sewer line. That's a 24-inch sewer main that goes under the interstate, under the Harpeth River, over to South Carruthers Parkway. and it's there to expedite development for growth. And if you go back to Board of Mayor and Aldermen, regular meeting minutes Tuesday, April 8th, 2008, where they're talking about the Nichols Bend development over there at South Carruthers. Alderman Moore at that time asked staff about sewer availability. David Parker said it is the developer's responsibility to get the line to the pump station at 5 Mile Creek. This would just reinforce the developer's responsibility. The pump station is under construction. Then it goes on and finally confirms the developer is responsible for the sewer. Now we go to the public hearing notes for the South Carruthers Parkway expansion, July 29th, 2008, where the city answered questions about the new parkway being constructed, questions and answers. And one of those questions was, will sewer be available? If so, when and where will it come from? Answer, a sanitary sewer is being designed for this area, but no funding has been allocated by the city. Construction is to be development-driven and funded by the developers. Now we take that and we go to just recently, I can pull up many of them, but the CIP memorandum of August 11th, where they talk about the Simmons Ridge sewer line that's just being completed. And under there it says funding source. Funding source for construction, water and sewer fund. So ratepayers are paying for that sewer line, not the developers. Now, even if we do that 5-year plan, I was wondering how much does that make rates go up? So I got out my calculator, and I wanted to see how much rates had gone up since 2008. And I ran 4 scenarios. First one being inside the city commercial that uses 15,000 gallons. Their combined water sewer rates for that period, 2008 up through this 2012 proposal, will have gone up 26.8%. Then I ran the same thing with inside the city commercial that only uses 3,000 gallons a month. And their combined rates would have gone up 74.3%. Then I ran inside city residential at 10,000 gallons, and I chose that figure because when we had 2 teenagers living in the house, that's how much water we used. And at that usage rate, the combined rates would have gone up 22.3%. But if you go down to 3,000 gallons a month, which is what the wife and I as empty nesters use now, that water sewer combined rate will have gone up 52%. So you can see, the less you use, the higher your percentage rates have been. And I find it kind of unconscionable that the city chose a rate structure that gouges old people, single people, the smallest businesses, so they can bail out developers. And I would hope that the city would rejigger the rates so that the increases are uniform across the entire spectrum. Now that just, on a 5-year plan, increasing the rates 7% every year just gets us out of the current hole. That does not address the mountain that we still have to climb. You just had the integrated water resources people in here. And that's a very expensive consulting contract for $2 million paid out of these same water funds. And as a citizen, all I've officially heard is roof gardens and rain barrels. Now I know they're going to come up with a plan and the city's going to have to choose one and figure out how they're going to fund it. But here we are today at a public hearing on rates, and we don't have a clue what the future plan is. So I would implore the board not to approve any other major system expansions till we get a handle on what the future holds and how we're going to pay for it and how much the rates are going to have to go up just to do that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else care to address the board? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman McClendon. Any discussion?
I just have the comment to make. I have been assured that this will go to not have, we're not in a hole in the sense that we're in a deficit, but this is going to give us money to do repair and replacement. However, I still have reservations about this expense, and I do understand the idea of the cost just to serve people, but still, I think that we need to look at this every year to see where we are. I do not think we need to build up any war chest in these, where we can just have.
We can't.
Oh, yes, we can. We have before. We have.
I'm under the impression that we are obligated to maintain it as close to a zero sum as possible.
You can
In
have a
prior
prudent
years.
reserve, but at this point, we're really
not.
just meeting the
Well,
obligations of the fund.
if our rates and expenditures resulted in accumulating a substantial excess, wouldn't the statutes and governing bodies come and tell us that we had to make adjustments downward? I mean, these are enterprise funds.
You could
that
if you
are-
had an extremely high reserve. I think what you see across other utilities, at least that I've seen, is somewhere around a 20 to 25% reserve is what a lot of utilities hold. We're not there at this point at all. We're really just looking at our existing operations and covering those, as well as what we anticipate for what we've termed rate-funded capital, which is capital that reinvests in existing infrastructure or fixes problems of an aging system, which we certainly have on both water and sewer sides. So we're nowhere near that in terms of reserves. It's something we are looking at to have an appropriate level, but you're not there. Russ may have some other specific.
No, I think that's exactly right. Unless the reserves were excessive, you could retain reserves.
But
And the purpose for which the rates were being raised were very specific and well discussed in the committee meetings as it was presented.
however, I think if you look at us historically, we have had, certainly not recently.
Maybe in-
Certainly not recently,
yeah.
but in
Several
prior
years ago.
years, we have had.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 13, consideration of Resolution 2011-41, a resolution authorizing the issuance of sewer and water revenue and tax refunding bonds in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $21 million of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, making provision for the issuance, sale, and payment of said bonds, establishing the terms thereof, et cetera, et cetera.
I move for approval.
Thank you.
And this is the substitute resolution.
Reminds me of the reading of a will.
This is the substitute resolution that was
Right.
distributed early this morning. Just allows for the
For the bank.
the bank loan that we discussed.
Why didn't it just say that? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposition? I'm sorry? Who
I
seconded?
made the motion, didn't I?
You can put me down.
Sorry about that. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Number 14, consideration of contract award to U.S. Bank of Minneapolis, Minnesota for custodial services only for the city's employee pension plan.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Alderman Bransford got the second.
She got it in.
When you do the second, please raise your hand.
That's probably a good idea.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Passes unanimously. Number 15, consideration of sunset clause for retiree insurance option. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second? Alderman Bransford, I heard you.
Speak up over there.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 16, I would ask for a motion to defer to September 13th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
You got it? Great.
We're all getting in on it
Any
now.
discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition passes unanimously. Number 17, consideration of a resolution of intent to purchase property for a consolidated public works facility. Is there a
Move
motion?
for approval.
There's a motion to approve
Second.
with a second from Alderman Martin.
And just
Discussion.
for the record, I want to make sure it's in the record that it's a resolution 11-43.
43
It didn't
instead
make
of...
it in.
2011-43.
2011-43. Thank you.
And I'd like to make a motion. We have the motion second, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'd like to make an amendment that we place this back on the work session and agenda for September the 13th. As I say, I think that there are many things about it that are very favorable to us, but I do have concern about doing this without full information at this moment in time.
So that's deferral till?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Now, what did she answer?
I'm not sure.
She asked for deferral.
She asked for
We
a
move for
amendment to
approval.
To defer until, to defer to the work session and the meeting for next time.
How do you do that when you have a motion for approval right now?
Defer
I can motion
It's
to
a-
defer.
yeah, it's a
You said
separate
motion
motion.
for deferral?
Yeah.
So then if that passes, then there is no vote on the other motion.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So is there a second?
Second.
Appropriate motion second. Is there discussion on the amendment or on the deferral?
Can we discuss
Go to
deferral?
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
yeah.
discuss.
Well, my concern, I stated before, it is, we did not get this information until yesterday. It is a change in the method of funding that we have had before, and my concern is that this is also a part of capital improvements, and it is not it was not voted upon in our recent capital improvements priorities as a top priority.
Any other discussion, Alderman Scanlon?
I agree with the project, but I
I
want
do
us
too.
to complete the negotiation on the, if we go ahead and approve this tonight, don't we weaken our position as far as
We have the $2.5 million.
negotiating the legal easement that would go through the,
You've given us parameters and a specific dollar amount to work within. In some ways, that may help us, at least on the access. But you've given us parameters with this, and that would be what we would work within.
Alderman Byrd.
I think you need, I'm not going to support it because I think you need to go ahead and work this out. We need to move on this. And I appreciate what Ann has to say, but you're right. We have given you parameters to work within, and hopefully you can do so. If not, you'll be back with something else.
Well, I want to say one thing. I haven't read it all. Has anybody? I mean, I'm just
most of
asking
it.
because honestly, I could have spent from when we got it 24 hours ago until now, and I'm not sure I would have understood it. I just.
You have to pass it in order that we can tell you what's in it.
Well, maybe that's that type of thing, and I know who you're quoting. That's exactly what I'm against.
Okay.
Reading and not understanding.
Is there any other discussion about the motion to defer? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to defer till the September 13th meeting, raise your hand. I see two. All opposed, raise your hand. And I see five. Yes. So the motion to defer fails. Now, the original motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, consideration of Resolution 2011-42, a resolution declaring the intent of the City of Franklin to reimburse itself for certain expenditures relating to public works projects with the proceeds of bonds or other debt obligations to be issued by the City of Franklin, Tennessee. Is there a motion?
Moved for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now, see, this is the other part of it that is different from what we have done.
We have
So,
appropriate motion and second by Alderman Bransford. Any discussion?
well, as I say, this is different from anything that's been done probably.
You do this with any project of this magnitude, you do this so that you can issue debt in some form in the future.
But we
You want to
also-
do it early so that you can capture all the costs associated with the project.
But doesn't this also include the proposals that would give us a different type of funding from what we've been doing?
It opens any options you want in terms of debt issuance. It really, anytime you do this, it just says you're authorizing the ability to use debt and to go, as the IRS requires, to use the non-taxable debt or the tax-exempt debt.
That's correct. You're really just putting a marker down that's saying, I want to issue tax-exempt debt, perhaps.
Yeah, the specific techniques come down the line.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 19, I need a motion to defer consideration of the agreement between the city and the Harpeth River Watershed Association for the restoration of a portion of the Harpeth River. Defer until September 13th.
So moved.
Second.
Appropriate motion, second. Alderman Bransford is going to be the second
Champion.
champion tonight. Is there any
Number two.
discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, passes unanimously. Number 20, consideration of resolution to modify the pension plan. Is there any other caption number that goes with that?
Yeah, the resolution number is 1139 for the record.
Resolution 1139. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second?
I can't second everything.
Alderman Berger seconded that one.
letting
Is
you
there
off
any
the hook.
discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposition, it passes unanimously. I need a motion to withdraw consideration of custodial agreement for pension assets.
Move to withdraw.
And this was actually a duplication, is my
Oh,
understanding.
that's right.
Yeah, So,
Yeah.
Yeah, as a duplicate.
is there a second?
Second.
Appropriate motion, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, see none, passes unanimously. Number 22, consideration of liquor license retailer certificate for new owner of Mallory Lane Wine and Spirits.
Move to approval.
Appropriate motion, second.
Second.
Alderman Berger, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, passes unanimously. Item number 26, consideration of change order number 1 for the Nickel Mill project for a Phase 2 contract time extension of 63 calendar days. New Phase 2 completion date of December the 14th, 2011. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Appropriate motion, second.
I
Alderman Martin.
recuse myself from this.
Alderman Martin recused herself. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, show there's one abstention. Is there any other, let's see, it's motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Hey, Pearl, get in there.
Give me second.